Howdy guys and dolls, your favorite little keto goofball down and back again with another paranormal story. So, you know that old saying, speak of the devil and the devil shall arise? Well, I shouldn't have done the paranormal stories because last night I was hit with just all sorts of insanity. Now, if I was 100% sure it was paranormal, I wouldn't have actually been so scared. I am now, but I wasn't. So, okay, let me go ahead and start this by saying some of it I heard the night before for the first time. Other people have heard it, but I had never heard it. It's this little rapid tapping noise that's very light. It almost sounds like there's a baby woodpecker in my house, in the living room. Just, but it's really light. It's not like somebody's just, beating the hell out of something. It's just light, and it's rapid, and it's very noticeable. And you're like, what the hell is that? Well, the first night I heard it, which was not last night, but the night before, I thought maybe it was the cat. You know how sometimes animals will scratch behind their ear and they'll thud into something when they're doing it? So that's what I initially thought it was. I automatically knew it wasn't Jake because it sounds like Jake's trying to tear down the door. It sounds like the cops are wanting in really bad. It's it's knocking and it's hard. So I knew it wasn't Jake because this was so light. Plus, Jake had just wanted outside. So, but the night before that, it was just that tapping noise. And I was, the hell? And I looked around a little bit for it, but I didn't see it. But again, I figured it was one of the animals. Well, last night about 1 a.m., my grandson Zach got really restless. He had went to sleep around 11, and he was whining. And like, that state children get in sometimes where they're just really upset, but they're not ready to wake up, and they're just pouting and whining and rolling all around. So I made sure everything was off. My husband had just went to bed, and I laid down with Zach to kind of try to ease him a little bit. And I started hearing that tapping noise. I was like, okay, what the hell is that? And it probably happened 2 or 3 times before I actually got up and looked and realized the cat, Tommy, was sitting over here, and the other small dog, the honey bear, was laying there. But they were both just kind of looking around, also trying to find the source of that tapping noise. It was, just laid there and listened. And it's one of those sounds where you think, do I need to get my gun, or is that just something normal? What is that? It's like, okay. And it happened probably 6 times in rapid succession, but spread out a little bit. I don't know what that is. And so he was just restless for a little while. And once he finally did get good and calm down, I heard a weird noise that sounded kind of like thick plastic being twisted, which shot me up out of bed. Because the noise is stuck in my head from the other day when we took the air conditioner out of this window. This bottom frame is like a really, really thick, dense plastic, and it made that kind of noise. So I thought, oh, somebody's outside the window, or somebody's trying to get into that window. I jumped up and I took my flashlight, and I'm kind of, looking down in there outside. And I don't see nothing. Plus, my large lab is outside, and he's at the moment being quiet. So he's just laying on the front porch. I could see him. So I don't think nothing's trying to get into the window, but I heard that noise multiple times throughout the night. And I shut this window. Well, after a minute or two, I did open the window and shine the light out because there's no screen on this one where we had the AC up. But I shut it and locked it back and checked the other windows. They're all locked, and I don't know, but I heard that noise again, and I heard it coming from that side of the house. And there is a window over there, and I checked that window. It's also locked. And Jake's still laying on the porch. He's not going after anybody outside the windows, which is right beside the porch. It's like, oh, what the hell's going on here? Well, Jake does suddenly jump up and start growling, snarling, running all over in the yard, which is not that unusual for him. We have deer and coyote out there, and he loves to chase them, and he loves to make hell-raising noises, so it's something you can ignore pretty easily. And Honey Bear, she was laying here being quiet. She didn't care. But when she's outside, when she hears something, she goes insane. So, yeah, I don't know what that was. Now, while Jake was still outside, I started hearing the sound of what sounded like wind howling, which I've never heard before. And other people have said they've heard the wind howling before, but I've never heard it in here. And I checked this window. Of course, there's some air coming in around it, but nothing strong. I opened the window. It's not really howling hard. I even checked Google. It's like 6 mile per hour winds, which should not create that sound. But okay, fine. shut the window, lock it back. And right here, in this spot where I'm sitting, comes the sound of heavy, hard breathing. I'm over here freaking out. I'm like, oh, please tell me that's like the refrigerator and it's just like reverberating or something. And I'm going over there, there's no sound coming from the refrigerator. Everything's off. Everything's off. It's just so quiet in here. You can hear your heartbeat through your eardrums. And my daughter, at the same time, starts sending me emails or text messages. Y'all heard my text messenger go off. It's that loud whistle. Scared the shit out of me. I jumped 20 feet. And she starts sending me pictures that she found on an old camera of her, of Haley, which is my little daughter-in-law that just passed away here in August. So I waited till my grandson went to his other grandma's because I didn't want to talk about all this in front of him. But I got a sharp pain right here in my neck. And the first thing that pops in my head was, well, she was nothing if not a pain in the neck. And I kind of laughed at myself, and I thought, well, why did that come to mind, you know, other than the photos I was looking at. And then I started kind of associating all this, and I want Destiny to tell you what happened to her one night. I'm going to wait till she comes back in. She just went and took a phone call. So you might get a part 2 of this video with this video, like, you know, in segments. But, well, the last 2 nights are the first times I've heard that tapping sound. Tommy, don't you do it. Other people have reported it, but I thought they were pulling my leg or hearing things, and it wasn't real, that they wasn't. But that all started, the tapping started. Tommy, you're going to fall out that window on your head. Cat's hanging out the window. He's never been outside before. But anyway, it all started after she passed away. The tapping. Now, there's been paranormal stuff going on here for years, all kinds of craziness, but the tapping, that is new. Definitely developed in the last 2 months, I would say. Might be a little bit longer, but I don't know if y'all remember, but I was telling you about, it seemed like people were trying to break into stuff. There were people outside. It felt like there was always somebody around the yard. The tapping was heard those nights, too. And the only vehicle that was ever really being messed with was my son's. And in a succession of events, he sleeps like you would not believe. He is almost impossible to wake up. But last night, he was restless. He was up and down all night long. He couldn't sleep. And it feels kind of like that's what's going on. Hey. But hold on a minute. I'm going to get her to get over here and tell you what she heard and experienced that one night. Once I get over here.
I'm just Destiny. But, so that tapping noise, a few months ago, me and Brian and Zach, we all slept in the living room with Zach, and it was probably maybe a few days or a week after Haley passed, and we would hear weird noises at night, and the noise that Joni is talking about, it sounds like someone is like tapping, like on the side of the trailer, like someone's hiding like on the inside of the house, just like tapping all around you, and it drives you insane, scares the hell out of you. And I remember laying there in the middle of the night just so freaked out because all the lights were turned off, and we have a motion censored porch light, and it was on for about like 25 minutes. And it's timed for maybe after like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it'll turn off unless there's just something keeping it on. And I was terrified because that light was on. I was like, oh no, someone's outside and they're messing with me. And I was like, well, maybe it's like a paranormal thing because it's freaking me out. It would get really, really fast, and then it would like slow down, and then it would like get really, really loud, and then really, really quiet. And Corey actually heard it too. She woke up and she got up with me, and we were talking about the noise that we were hearing. And I tried to wake Brian up, but Brian's the type of sleeper where he's just like a really heavy sleeper, and he's the worst person to need in an accident, because if he's asleep or he doesn't hear his phone, he won't answer. And he's terrible at it. He's like, oh, you can wake me up, and I'll wake up with you, I'll stay up with you. No, he will not. Anyway, me and Corey sat up for about maybe 2 or 3 hours just talking, and after she went back to her room and I laid back down, like it started again. Like, I was terrified. But it sucked. And that's the same thing that Joni was hearing. I just think last night was very, very weird overall, because last night, for the first time in a very long time, I was able to sleep all night. Like, I wake up at night and I play games or I watch TV, but last night I was able to sleep perfectly fine, and Brian, who is normally able to sleep perfectly fine, was up all night. Just, he couldn't sleep at all. Zach was very whiny. That was weird. And Joni's never scared, and she was terrified, and it was a weird night. I feel well rested though, so that's good.
So, I also wanted to add before I end this video that just a couple of days ago I did see her as well. Or I guess so. I think so. I was walking down my hallway and I saw her standing beside my son. But she was looking at the TV, so. And by the time I blinked, it was gone, and that's it. So I'm going to ask everybody else about their stories. Probably not just about this one, but about all the stuff that's happened on this land. And might even do some interview style things, because it's actually quite fascinating to me, and I would like to get behind the truth of everything. Who wouldn't? But for now, I've got some pretty lilies, and I think it's time to go visit her and drop some flowers off.